I hate when I hear stories like that because I was one of those people that in New York I was camping out a hot 97 waiting to see if I catch somebody. Me and my cousin, we was on some like patrol mission. We had the demos in our backpack and shit like that. So when I hear those stories and I'm like, is that real? Was he really with a guitar out there? He was like a little ass kid at that time too. Possible. Me and my cousin, we was really going in at that time. So when I hear stories of, yeah, this artist did this, and it's like, did you really do that? Because I did that.
So I kind of feel like in Bieber's case, it was like, and I don't really exactly remember how they covered it on the documentary, but I feel like in Bieber's case, it was like one of those moments where it kind of snowballed like really quickly. But on the flip side, Big Sean did the same thing for Kanye, where he like found like his man's called him up and he was like, "Yo, Kanye's at the radio station. Let's go down there and freestyle for him." All right, cool. But I think Sean said like it took 2 years for Kanye to even get back to him. So it really makes you wonder like, okay, well, even if I catch this person, like, is that really gonna help my career? Like, what is that really gonna do for me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes the ones that can really make the biggest choice and put the machine behind you and everything is the executives that 90% of the time at most you might know a name. You know a few of them. You've seen what's dude's name? He's a very freaking he was on the Breakfast Club a couple years ago. Old Jewish dude. I can't recall his name, but like he's one of the few faces that I know of like okay, big executives. Aside from that, you don't really like Lucius Grange, you know him by name. You don't
Right.
he's like a phantom. And even before that, nobody even knew that he really existed. He was like a fucking myth.
Hmm. Yeah, true. Fuck. I forget his. I'm
Speaking,
drawing a
speaking of
blank on the guy.
Bieber, he's
Uh,
like he's from a city called he was born in a city called Stratford,
uh,
which is about like an hour from me. But it's near it's like a beach spot. So like a lot of people drive up there to like, go to the beach for the day. And like it's been a while since I was there, but I would say about like 6, 7 years ago. They have like this little spot, just be like, this is where Justin Bieber used to play music.
Yo, it's so crazy. This campaign that never ends with Tim Hortons, with Bieber,
Yeah, that's right.
they don't stop. It's like
Wait,
I'm sick
what?
of seeing
Tim
this.
Biebs.
Yeah, the
They're
Tim
called
Biebs.
Tim Biebs. Yeah, it's such a corny name. Like, oh my god.
I had no
No,
idea.
so
Maybe that's like their Canadian pride going on. But why didn't they do that with Drake?
I'd imagine Drake would probably ask for $1 gajillion to do anything like that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You think Bieber didn't?
Speaking of Drake, there's like a whole bunch of. I just saw, like literally just a few minutes ago, I just saw what was it? So he was like here locally. So he was in Toronto, and then he apparently, I don't know the whole story or if it's even true, but this is what the paper said, that like he flew to Toronto and then but he didn't want to pay for the like whatever it cost to park a fucking plane in Toronto.
Drake or
Yeah,
Bieber?
Drake.
Yo.
Yeah. And then he decided to fly the plane to Hamilton, which is like the next big city. It's about an hour away from Toronto. And so like people were losing their minds because it was just like, dude, what a waste of pollution or something. I don't know. People were just getting all up in shit. So
That's crazy because I just saw the same thing about Kylie Jenner and Travis
Jenner.
Scott.
Yeah.
Where
God,
they like
yeah.
took a private jet like somewhere that somebody said probably would have taken an hour to drive to. They took a private jet for like 17 minutes.
yeah, okay, yeah. It's
Yo. Drake,
Like-
Drake a bad man. Bad man.
Eat the rich, I'm telling you.
Yo.
Man.
Kylie Jenner will be the first one. Come here.
Is that the same person? I'm trying to think. So I just saw for the first time yesterday the Pepsi commercial, that infamous Pepsi commercial. Was it her?
No,
or
that was her. That was a
some other
sister. I
Jenner?
think it was Courtney.
Oh, okay. Was it? Yeah. Oh my
Was it
God.
Courtney? No. It was
Kendall?
Kendall.
Kendall? Oh, okay.
Courtney don't do shit. Courtney don't.
I just remember that was like a stupid fucking commercial, like on any on any front, like PC or not, like everything about that commercial was just dumb as fuck. Like, okay, we're at the line of
Pepsi's gonna
scrimmage.
save the world.
Here's a Pepsi.
Oh man, such good stuff.
to quell the racial tension.
Trying to monetize on racial discrimination, yo. None desu ka?
And then you pick the white girl to send the message.
Exactly. Yeah.
To
Yeah,
be
like-
fair, it would have been either way, cause like you remember, was it Mary J. Blige with the KFC commercial all those years ago?
But see, that's different though, because you picked the blackface to eat the chicken, but not drink the Pepsi.
Very good point. Very good point.
Like, I don't blame
Yo,
Mary.
how about
for,
you
like-
intro this bitch real quick? We
All right,
5 minutes
guys. So apparently, this is the new episode of We Created a Podcast and couldn't come up with a name, so we settled on this sentence here being the title. I'm your host, Rob D. Lucci, and I brought two of my guys with me. Whatever, how you feeling?
I'm actually in a pretty awesome mood, and I'm glad to be able to share it with you guys and with the world. So yeah,
Yeah, I can see that. You're feeling super silly today, right?
little bit, Mike, just a wee bit.
And then apparently we got Chris this week with no Daniel.
Oh, I'm back for that one person in the comment who asked where I was. I'm right here.
Yo.
Daniel
Yeah,
got
Daniel Prescott.
resekied.
Oh snap!
So, Chris, what happened, man?
Last week?
Mhm.
Oh, I was
He was at the
Free-
Copacabana shaking the thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Copacabana.
Utilizing the Canadian healthcare system is what I was using.
Oh, the free one, right? That you guys get, that everyone just
Yeah.
gets for being born over there. Apparently,
Trudeau showed up and operated on him himself.
That's exactly how it's done here.
meanwhile, over here in
Don't
the
play
States,
around.
you get fined for not having health care. Never mind not being able to afford it. Oh, you can't afford health care? Cool. Pay this
Wait,
extra
what?
fee here.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Is that really how it works?
Yes.
Really?
It's not provided to you.
And
Oh, okay,
you're
yeah.
penalized for not having it.
Penal?
And I'm acting silly.
I'm
I'm sorry, I don't want to be penalized.
All right. So the what is it? The Tim Biebs?
Tim Biebs.
Yeah.
For everybody out there listening, I decided to boycott coming up with the topic list this week, so we're gonna wing it. And as you can see, we're in a pretty silly mood today. Hopefully,
Hey.
when we're done, Fernev doesn't penalize me.
This motherfucker. Anyways, so yo, what is this was a conversation we had a couple weeks ago, and it is fascinating, and I'm wondering because I'm seeing it in all different directions, not only in the music industry, of what is up with the music industry and a lot of things just not competing to the way they were. Like we was talking, I forget if it was last episode or when, but we was talking like how Kendrick sales wasn't to
Right,
the level of the
right,
previous
right.
one. Drake. And it's just across the board. What is going on there? Is it that things is being counted different? I mean, I think that's a part of it because bundles is X'd out or whatnot, but it's not even just that. It's across the globe. I'm seeing a lot of like labels, a lot of different things are just restructuring because things aren't at that scale. Any thoughts on that?
I'm actually wondering if the labels, because we've seen it a couple times with a couple albums, like Kendrick's album and Chris Brown's album, where the first 24 hours they weren't searchable, even though they were available. And combined with the fact that streaming companies are going to have to pay out more, because we're still in 2022, right? And the percentage has like gone up to I think 15.1% of royalties paid out from 2018 to 2022. So if we shadow ban your album, then you lose out on a bunch of the initial streams. Oh,
Daniel Prescott,
Sorry.
player 4.
as I shit and breathe.
Yo, that's some country ass shit.
That's from Chucky, Child's Play.
And
He says, Andy Barclay, as I live and breathe. I added the shit part.
I never saw any of the Chucky movies.
Get him out! No.
My bad, never seen it.
What did you think of the new Chucky? I've not seen that one.
I haven't
yet.
seen
I've
it
watched
yet.
some of the old movies.
I haven't seen it yet.
Was it
You
good?
talking about the TV series?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a series.
Yeah. Is it on Netflix or is it on something else?
It was on TV. It was on well, over here it was on
Demand?
USA and yeah, no, it was actually like cable TV. It was premiered on, which I know sounds like ancient at this point. Over
I know.
here. But it was
TV, what's
the
that?
the USA Network and Sci-Fi. It was like a collab between the two.
So first off, why are you watching cable?
For Chucky. I don't have
You
cable.
couldn't DVR it and like catch up later?
No, well, I was a Chucky. Well, I am a Chucky fan, but I'm not gonna lie. That show, it was definitely
How did it feel to like go back to watching a premiere episode on cable TV like live? Not being able to fast forward through commercials or skip ads or anything like that.
It was nice to do with family because I watched with my nephew and my daughter whenever she paid attention. And well, for the first few episodes, and then like I would watch it here and there. It was dope. It had a lot of ways of the spirit of Chucky, but it definitely went in a different direction.
Give me the last show you guys had to watch like live on cable television.
Hannibal.
Oh my god.
Yo, Hannibal! I forgot that shit existed. You just brought me a unlocked memory. Holy
It
shit!
was actually
That show was
surprisingly
fucking
good. And it had like it had a high bar to live up to from the movies.
What's his name?
Mads
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mikkelsen.
Dude was
Madge.
he is amazing, amazing.
He's a god.
For me, yes.
I gave you a rare gift, but you didn't want it.
Wow.
It's the truth. He did. He gave him a rare gift.
I
Gave him a
remember.
rare
We got Fernev Washington
Okay.
over here.
Like his
So my old job.
Unbreak my heart. Say you love me again.
You might need to hit. You might
Dude
need to
has,
hit
like, a
T-Pain up for the
of a
sauce.
villain.
Now we're
Hey.
getting copyrighted because that just sounded exactly the same.
like the original
get,
composition.
It was pitch perfect.
Throw some Melodyne, some G Snap.
Got
Get it all right.
Timmy Houston over here.
There we go.
What was that movie
Say
with
you
what's his name? They do that dancing, strip dancing.
Magic Mike.
All the that's it. That was the last.
You would. You look like you auditioned for Magic Mike.
Well, I am. Where do you think I got all my moves from?
Yo, Chris, you look like you could be a Channing Tatum stand-in.
I am his body double. I was like, that motherfucker did steal one of my moves though. Yeah. So
Which one?
it's either just a pure coincidence, but I highly doubt it. So because they used like that intro song to the trailer, they used that Pony by Genuine, but they used a dubstep remix. And I found that dubstep remix on YouTube from the guy who made it, and it only had like a couple hundred views at the time, right? And me and my group made a dance to it. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. And he
Oh, yeah, I
took one of the moves that we did, which we just made it up, and then he used it to the same song. So I was like, what? Did he just randomly stumble on our video on YouTube?
You got Kardashian Jenner?
No, Oh. So he owes me some money. It was like,
Hey,
how much money?
hey,
did I
yo,
have to
hey, yo, Channing Tatum, pay up, or I'm coming for that ass. Pause.
Yeah,
Super
The-
pause.
but that was the last movie I saw on cable TV.
think the last show I watched on cable TV was Atlanta.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you like the midnight channel. So you know, you go to channel whatever, they got all
No,
the juicy
No, I
stuff.
opened up the incognito tab for that. Yo, have you ever like taken your phone in to be repaired and forgot to close the tab out?
No, I am super conscious of that stuff.
Yeah. I'd rather the phone break than do some shit like that. Fuck it. Let it break.
I almost got caught lacking a couple times. But I tell you, like the cold sweat that comes over your entire body when you're like,
Wake up at 3 a.m. Oh my god, I forgot to close the tab. Oh shit.
can't let you see my stuck history.
That is kind of the thing, though, right? Like when you leave your phone,
The Stucks?
with one
Oh.
of those people. Well, it's like the phone repair dudes. Like you have to give them a password, right? To like so they can log into your
Or
phone.
just like unlock, like turn off the
They-
passcode.
yeah, but they have full access to your phone,
Mm.
right?
Or when you leave
You
your
don't think they're
computer
snooping?
at like
I would.
Geek Squad or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
Oh god.
Every time I
Yeah,
try to leave a computer with Geek Squad, those motherfuckers, bro, I tell you. I always wonder, like, do the Geek Squad at Best Buy, are they like allergic to money? Or what's going on? Do you know how many times I walk into Best Buy, whether it be to fix a computer, something, and with the Geek Squad, they will convince me 1,000%, no, don't leave it here, don't do it. Like they will, like I just stay there amazed. Like it was probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago. I have this really powerful ass PC that has a couple of issues, and I brought it in,
Excuse me.
and they convinced me immensely. Like I'm talking about, talked me to the brim of, please just don't leave this computer here. I was
You think
just like,
maybe like there's not a quality check on their Geek Squad for like the actual IT skill set?
they're probably idiots.
Probably.
I think.
Or it could
Yeah.
be like a liability
That
issue,
or-
so you're like limited on what you can do.
I mean, there's a Geek Squad
Could be that, or it could just
that I mean I've used Geek
There's
Squad
what?
a bunch of times, and I've left my computer, and they were able to solve the issue. So I think it just
Maybe your
depends
Geek
on
Squad
what
just sucks.
They don't let me get that
Geek
far.
Squad is garbage.
I don't get that
You got
far.
bronze. You got bronze tier Geek Squad.
No, they're just, I don't know, bro. Like, I'd be there amazed. Like, yo, y'all the worst. I would fire the fuck out of them. Like, you're convincing customers not to spend money here.
For Nevis and low elo
Yeah.
though, for his Geek Squad.
did they look at the problem and then they're like, oh no, it's not worth it?
I
Or
just
did they,
explained, like, I barely explained, like, hey, so I'm getting this screen, it's saying this. And then they would give me some weird runaround about how it's going to be really expensive. And,
yeah,
motherfucker, your job is to take the goddamn computer in and fix it, not fucking tell me about how to spend my fucking money, you dipshit.
To
Woo!
me, it sounds like they're like, this is going to be such a pain in the ass that it's not worth the hassle. That they're like,
Yeah.
so they're just giving you the runarounds so they don't have
Man,
to do
fuck
it.
that. I'd open that
terrible.
case up like, well, the hard drive shot to hell.
Open it up. Let's start a redneck geek squad. Redneck squad.
I see what your problem is. You doohickey compressor fan over here. Needs a little bit of thermal grease. Spit on the customer service desk.
Shintai,
What's up?
have you listened to any new music lately? If so, please give us a little breakdown.
I listened a little bit to Honestly Nevermind, the new Drake album, and I couldn't get through it.
Oh,
Okay, I thought
God.
you were like saying
Really?
something else. Like
You throw
it's just leading up to the album, and it's like, I was saying, never mind. I wasn't
couldn't get
listening
through
to
it.
it. Really?
I really couldn't get through it. I think I listened to like 2 tracks before I tapped out. I was like,
Were you dancing
I don't know.
when you listened to
Yeah.
that?
Oh,
to
here
that
he
album?
goes. He got the cape on. He's about to fly off.
All right, so listen,
All right,
the
I'm
new
listening.
Beyonce song, right? I was kind of iffy on it when I first heard it.
Oh, I
but
loved it from first listen.
but
That one,
when I heard it in the whip, crossing the bridge to New York, It sounded a little different on the car speakers. Like I'm not gonna hold you. I think, at least for me as a music consumer, it really depends on where you are and how good the sound system is when you hear a song.
That is super cape.
Cape.
Super
I haven't even
cape
heard the
because
album yet.
I heard that Beyonce record. I was sitting down. It was like 1 in the fucking morning. I saw the music video. I put it on. I put on my headphones and I was like, "Oh, this shit is awesome. I love it."
What were you
So I
doing when you heard
listened
that
to
song?
there. Then the next, sitting down, probably
You were sitting in the dark
Like-
at 1 a.m. and you heard some house music Beyonce and you didn't get up and dance, but you liked the song.
The next day, I got up and danced while I was cleaning.
Shit. You probably still had your socks on when you was cleaning the house. Fuck out my face.
No, no, you cannot cape for the good old
I
owl.
wish I could
Drake,
cape for an
okay?
album I never even heard.
Yeah.
What is with the owl? Why,
OVO.
like, is there a thing
It's
about this
OVO.
owl? OVO?
So if you
That's
so
his
if you
record
look
label.
at the
Oh, I
initials
see.
of OVO, it looks like an owl face,
Oh, okay.
and it could be like
It's
his.
funny how I bring up the Drake album and you guys are like, but that Beyonce though. Just like
Okay, so it was a good fair comparison because for some reason they both like dropped house music at the same time, and the reception to like and the reception for like Beyonce house music and Drake house music was interesting because Beyonce didn't even like promo that she would be doing house music, but you hear it from her and it's like, yeah, this is hot. But you hear it from Drake and you're like, oh, well, this isn't what we expected. This is trash.
I think the difference is that one song is good and the other one is not that good.
One is
Yeah.
good.
Like I listened to both, and like the
Okay.
Beyonce song, regardless of how you feel about house music in and of itself, the Beyonce track has energy. It fucking hits you. The Drake song, it feels like he was like. I'm like,
He made that album to tour. He made that album to tour in like Australia,
Did he really?
places that probably don't care about hip hop per se, but they'll listen to
All
some
right.
party.
Do you think he made that album to tour, or do you think that he made that album with the idea that summer is coming around the corner, and this will be really easy for people to stream during like barbecues and events and whatnot?
I think it was
It sounds more like a streaming
check,
album than
check.
like a tour. Like he doesn't even have the vocals.
dude. Drake and his team are scientists. Okay, one of the big things about it is you look. Because I look at every move. When Drake is doing something, it's not just to do it. When he's posting a picture on Instagram, it's not just for the sake of it. There's something. So when, for example, when he posted that picture the other day of the middle-aged lady, and he's like, yo, oh, she's like a dime or some shit. I look at that as, okay, he wants to tap into other markets and he's appealing to it by doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, but he also
So
posted
it's
that
the
random
science
dude,
behind
like,
it.
dancing at wherever he was at.
He's trying to appeal probably to different markets.
He
Just
could be.
doing
How many
small actions
How many
at
songs
that
on that
level.
album do you think he'll perform on tour when he has a whole other album that he has to promote?
As many as the said place it would
I think
resonate.
he's probably put
If
3
there's a-
songs in that set because he still has to perform the hits, like the older hits. He has to perform from the album before it. I forget the name. CLB.
Certified Lover Boy is a way better album, and that was poorly received. Like Champagne Poetry,
Was
the second half of that record, way better record than this house shit.
How many do you know off top, like first week for CLB?
CLB, honestly, I don't remember. I want to say it was in the 400s, but no, wait, because him and Kanye had that bout. It was 6 something. I
Okay,
wanna
so
say maybe.
600 first week, and this did what? And you think that? And you say that album was poorly received?
It did 208, I think, or 200
third.
something like that. Yeah, and at the very least, Certified Lover Boy, there was some saving graces. Like a lot of people, the conversation switched from this album sucks to, oh, but that 21 Savage though, that was a great Night Talk. Is
Yeah,
a
I
great
mean, Knife.
record.
It was Knife Talk. Too Sexy. Like, yeah, you had a decent amount of people that hated the record, but a lot of people like had their little trending videos on. Like, it had a whole like challenge on TikTok.
Here's an interesting question: do you think that Drake's music is progressively either not resonating or getting worse? because every album I'm hearing more
No.
backlash towards him. Scorpion, people said, oh, he did these 2 albums in one. There was not enough this and that, but it wasn't as bad backlash. Certified Lover Boy, people shitted on it, said that was a filler album.
People also
This
shit on
one-
views and then said, "Oh, you know what? This album aged like way better than we gave it credit for." Like Drake hate,
That's a different
Drake
story.
hate,
That one
Drake
is a-
hate is always on initial release, and then as the album ages, because what Drake does is he's great at making a soundtrack to where your life is progressing. You know what I mean? Like you'll hate the album when it drops, but then like 6 months down the road, 8 months down the road, a year down the road, you're like, hold on, this album's a lot better than I gave it credit for. Take care.
Is that
Nothing was the same.
Take Care was loved. Take Care was loved off rip. There was no back. It was
Nothing.
just memes
Okay,
of like
cool.
making
Well,
fun
I'll
of
Take
Drake.
Care. Nothing was the same. People didn't like it at first because it was
People still say that album
No,
is shit.
I've seen a lot of people say, "Yo, this album was a lot better than what we gave it credit for." What came after Nothing Was the Same? But it's time to be no. If you're reading this, it got so much hate, and then like, what was the one?
More Life
More
got
Life
a lot
got
of
a lot
hate,
of hate.
and still gets a lot of hate. Nobody really
That was
fucks
that
with More
playlist
Life like
bullshit
that.
people were doing though. I don't even count that shit.
I like that idea. I'm not a fan of the idea that as an artist you have to be constricted to, why can't I put out an album of 8 records and every record is a different vibe? One record is a rock record, one record is a hip hop straight boom bap record, one record is a more auto-tune synthesized
album?
record. Why is that like, oh, that's yeah, why can't that be the case? Maybe there's somebody that would love all of those sounds, and it's
So that's
great
why
music all
artists
around.
have like Lucy's to like kind of dabble in that. That's why they have EPs for that type of stuff. But if you're gonna do an album, like it has to be cohesion, because
What do you mean by Lucy's?
like someone just throws out like a loose track, like not an official single
Oh,
to
okay.
promote an album, but just like, yo, here's some new music to hold you over.
I think that is cohesion, to create a body of work that signifies the artist's point in their life where they're at. It's not like, one record is saying I'm an angel, next record is saying I'm killing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, hey, this is my experiences in life. I dabble in all sorts of genres. Here's great music, because I think great music can stand the test
True,
of time regardless.
but the thing about it is like when you're in album mode, like you're already like kind of focused on like what type of sound, like what you want the album to sound like. If you just have like one of every genre on there, then for one, you're probably just essentially making a playlist, and two, like it doesn't come off like an album, it just comes off like an anthology. Which is nothing wrong with it.
Okay,
but
so what about if the
labels like put all this money behind you? Like we can't afford for you to experiment with like one song a genre on an album.
Well, what about if it's not an experiment? What about if it's I recorded over the last year 150 records, all sorts of genres, and these are my solid 12. These are the best 12 of all the music I made, and they just happen to be maybe 2 of them are hip hop, 2 of them are rock, 2 of them so and so. But this is the best that
Then
if
you would
put the machine.
Then you would
behind
really
these
need
records,
one really good executive producer, and 2 a really good ear to help you organize the album so that it has some sort of cohesion. Because what you also have to remember is just like flavors, where flavoring like seasonings and different tastes and textures can clash, even though separately the ingredients are really good, it can become jarring to your palate when you combine them. So
Yeah, because I was gonna ask, like, I'm sure a lot of artists, and they think to themselves, even if they have songs that they were thinking like, oh, this was initially going to be on a separate project or whatever. Ideally, when they put all these songs together on one album, there's a reason for it, right?
Exactly.
Like, what is it about these specific songs that are supposed to be heard in this order?
there's a
right?
there's a strongest
I call that the album experience.
sequencing.
Where you sit down, I sit down and I'm like, all right, I'm listening to this album start to finish, and there's like an arc, there's a narrative, right? Maybe not necessarily an explicit narrative, maybe not necessarily it's a concept album, but there is a sort of narrative being established with the songs that are being chosen, either through like the mood, the emotional content, how atmospheric it may be, whatever. You know, there's got to be a reason why. Okay, why these songs? Why this order?
Like, okay, what about if it's 12 records, again, splicing of genres, but the whole idea is, I don't know, a breakup album, a happy album, I'm at a great place in my life, or, whatever it is. Wouldn't that be a form of cohesion, despite the fact that
The sequencing would really matter, along with the composition sonically and how the songs transition into each other would also really matter.
I think that's boxing. I think that's boxing in. I think the whole idea that it has to be, as long as it's not contradicting messages of one record you're saying,
okay,
this,
so
next record, and even then, that's still
let me give you a different example.
In art.
You're reading a manga. Chapter 1, you get, and I've heard you complain about like not wanting stuff like this, but say Chapter 1, you get like the crazy like off rip shonen crazy fight, and you're like, yo, this is about to be some wild, this is about to be a wild ride, right? And then Chapter 2 is straight slice of life romance.
The difference is with a manga. There's a couple of differences. For starters, a manga is this ongoing thing that's.
Why does it have to be that way? Why does it have to be that way? Why can't it be like a one shot? Why can't it be like
the way it's released?
What is it? The Omake's series? It's like you get 4 chapters, and they all get compiled into tankobons anyway. So at some point, it's gonna be compiled into one work. So
that would be fire. And I think we're in a world, considering the fact that, and by no means am I trying to disrespect this, but we're in a world filled with short attention span, ADHD. If anything, the fact of giving somebody a jarring reaction from song to song, opposed to it just being like, one thing of, you could go from, I'm so fucking great. Like, that is, if anything, appealing more to that short attention span and being bored easily to, I'm shocking the fuck out of you.
I think it speaks volumes that when you see it in hip hop. I don't know about rock, and maybe Daniel can and Chris can like speak to it, but I'm sure you've noticed that like there's a difference between the slow tempo song like track 2 going into like 80 BPMs, going into like the 205 BPM like up tempo record in track 3 versus like the singular track. And the way they transition the slow record into the fast-paced record. I mean, you've heard it on Future songs. You've heard it on Kendrick songs. You've heard it on, like, Slaughterhouse Eminem records. Like, it's the way that they have to modulate and transition and, like, do all this.
Slaughterhouse.
They have to do whatever they have to do to interpolate the record to get it to transition to where it's not jarring to the ears because of the difference in music type. Queen did it, right? The really long one. Was it Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah, Bohemian. Yeah. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Pause.
I'm trying to think. So
the only thing I know about Queen is the movie.
Shout out to Rhapsody, the artist, by the way. Love her.
See, so like most of the rock references I'm gonna throw out are like the obscure shit that no one knows about, but I'll do it anyways.
And you guys feel free to do your due diligence and like look up these artists, expand your palette. If you've heard of these, say something in the comments. Let us know, what you think of those suggestions. Continue.
So I'll continue the thread from last episode because I saw the Coheed and Cambria concert not that long ago. So I'm going to bring them up again just for some consistency. They're pretty good about this idea that you're talking about of kind of like transitioning from the lower tempo songs to the higher tempo songs. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they are, because I was talking before about like, oh, why is it this specific songs in this sequence? In their case, it is because they are telling an explicit narrative. There is actually comic books that they created after the fact. After they created the albums, they made comic books that tell the story of the album.
That's pretty dope.
So when you're listening,
that is so fucking fire. What's the name of those projects?
The names are In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth, Good Apollo, Burning Star, Second Stage Turbine Blade. Those are the comic books that are out right now.
Wow.
Good Apollo
Yo, you just
on
kind of
Burning Star 4 in particular is like amazing. And that's actually a really good example of this transitioning. So you have the first track, Keeping the Blade, is a symphonic suite, and then it goes into Always and Never, which is an acoustic number, and then it goes into Welcome Home, which is like this big fucking like arena
Stadium music,
guitar,
as they call it.
crushing it. Just like it's not like when you listen to the song Welcome Home, it feels like the world is just like just crushing down. It's this fucking huge song, and it's crazy to think that right
sounds like
before
great
that
touring
song,
music.
you had something like symphonic, and then you had something acoustic.
All right.
And all of it is also like, on one hand, it's great music, but it's also in service of telling the narrative. It's also trying to get you to understand the emotions of the characters. Like the song Welcome Home, which a lot of the narrative content ties into what was going on with Claudio Sanchez's real life. So his girlfriend at the time did him dirty. So he wrote the song Welcome Home as kind of like a fuck you to her. And you can feel that anger in that song.
Right.
Because he's saying stuff like, you know, if you really loved me, you know, you would have been there for me. Now die in your sleep. You know, like just shit like that, where he's just like, he's really fucking pissed.
So let me ask you a question then. If the track list on that album was done differently, do you think you would have received the album the same way?
That's hard to say, because I've been used to listening to the album a certain way, but like.
So say like you hear the album for the first time and you throw it on shuffle. Do you think that the messaging behind the album and even like the order of how you're hearing the songs would give you the same impression of the way you heard the album, the way it was intended to be listened to?
In 2022, no, hold on. In 2022, aside from Daniel, aside from us that were, you know, cultured into music, so to speak, and how to listen to an album, how many people listen to albums like that anymore?
Top to bottom?
Oftentimes people will listen, hear 30 seconds of the... Yeah, that's not really a staple in 2022 of even listening to albums like that. Sometimes people will just look at a track list, say, yo, that shit sounds dope, Death and Destruction.
Maybe.
Let me click on that.
But yeah,
shit.
that's his own pocket of like music listeners where people don't listen to an album top to bottom first. They go to the track that features the artist that they want to hear. But that's also the point of a collaboration, is that we work together and our fan bases get cross-referenced and they go listen to, you know, me being on your song, and then that makes my fans want to go listen to your music, and then it makes your fans want to go listen to my music, and then from there let me go enjoy the rest of this album.
But in the confines of the album, though, I think it's, well, and obviously different artists, different strokes, different folks, all that good stuff, but ideally, especially if you're creating something that you feel, whether it be that people could take it apart and still whatnot, come to my world when you featured on my record. Come into my story that I'm telling. I'm not going to, hey, you know, if I'm creating this piece, like, oh, say for example, Kendrick's Big Stepper album. Imagine he just randomly has this record where he's featuring, I don't know, because even Kodak came into his world and he kind of blended a little bit and showed where he was. So it's a little bit of a different circumstance because Kendrick has kind of changed a little bit as well where he's at right now in life. But shit, I lost my train of thought.
Think that
Yeah. Tim Biebs.
I think that for listeners like that, where they single out a record that sounds interesting or looks interesting based on who's on it or who produced it, albums and album structure isn't made for those type of listeners in the first place. Because if it was, then the sequencing of an album wouldn't matter so much.
So do you go and when you want to listen to something,
Start at track
you
one.
automatically feel
Start
like
at track
you're
one.
jarred into? No, I'm not gonna. If right now I want to listen to Juicy, I'm not gonna go through the entirety of
different,
Ready
but
to
you've
Die
already
to
heard
get to
Ready to
Juicy.
Die,
I'm
so it
putting
doesn't
Juicy
matter.
on. So we're only talking about the first
I
listen.
mean, we can talk about the first listen, but generally speaking, like whatever the album is released as for sequencing purposes, that's how the album is going to exist forever. So what I'm saying is,
Better yet, people oftentimes go through, right? And let's just say out of 10
Then they
records,
can-
they might like 5 of them. They're not
that's
going to
fine,
listen
though.
to those other 5 records.
But you've already
Therefore,
heard the album.
whole
You've
point
already heard the album
of the
though,
art
which
is
is fine.
done.
The point of the album
So then the album is
Maybe.
only for one experience.
for people who only want to experience an album as it's released,
No.
off first listen, and then go and pick the songs that they like and forget the rest of them. Absolutely. On the other hand, you can re-listen to an album 5 years later, and the song that you didn't like is now one of your favorite records on the album anyway. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do want to go back and revisit the album for how it was intended to be listened to versus like, oh, I just want to hear this one song that's in my workout playlist.
Let me ask you a question. When you pull up X videos, and maybe Chris could chime in more on this. When you pull up X videos, do you watch the entire acting and everything, or do you cut straight to the point of where you want to go?
So that's a little different
Yeah.
because
So now
I'm gonna tell you
that
what, I'm gonna
depends.
tell you why
it's
different.
art. It's art.
If the acting's good.
You do have some people that will literally like not be aroused. They will solely watch the video because if they think the plot line is good in the video, they'll watch the whole thing through. But
Then get the
but
motherfucker
on the
outta
other
here.
hand,
What
do
do
you
you
feel like
mean?
that's the same thing as if I go watch Ocean's 11? I'm not gonna skip ahead to the plot twist. I'm gonna watch the movie all the way through. I'm not gonna turn a regular movie on and only watch it for my favorite parts and then turn off the rest of the movie. Whereas with
A lot of people do that, though.
movies that have action, they'll go to YouTube and only look at their favorite fight action sequence or something like that and not want to watch the rest of
Yeah.
the movie at that time.
2 questions. Do you respect Eiichiro Oda, and do you look at One Piece as
Absolutely.
art?
No and no.
Okay, so if you look at him as, you know, you got respect for him, and you look at it as he's created art, and he's, in his latest message, said, you can jump into One Piece right now at chapter 1054. Boom! Boom!
Well, then you know what that would serve as? No, you know what that would be? If Oda says that, guess what? Prequels exist. So just like Akira Toriyama can give us episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z and be like, yeah, you can get into Dragon Ball right here. Because guess what? Most of us started at Dragon Ball Z and then went back to Dragon Ball. But there's a clear
Thank you.
there's a
Thank
clear
you, thank
landmark
you.
of how the series can be enjoyed. That doesn't mean that you can't go back to Dragon Ball and enjoy the series as
Bum, bum,
and enjoy
ba-da.
the series as Dragon Ball is supposed to be intended, because for the manga readers, all of that is the same series. Whereas for the anime, it's very distinctual that like this is its series, and then this right here is a sequel series.
So when I'm cruising through YouTube and I want to see Cell versus Gohan, do I got to start off at Goku?
You
and
realize
Krillin
most
carrying
people.
milk crates?
You realize most
Yes.
people that would start at a anime fight is probably because somebody else showed them the anime fight, which would be the equivalent of, hey, I really like this artist that I want you to get into, so I'm gonna play you my favorite song from this album. And now,
Not
if you
necessarily.
like that song, you're gonna go to the project, or you're gonna go through that artist's catalog. And either way, you're gonna go through an entire album, top to finish. Cracks your fucking head.
Shintai, do you revisit Kotomine versus Kiritsugu?
Because it's a good fucking fight.
Do I recommend you do it, or you do it on
I
your
do it
own?
on my own because it's a good fucking fight.
What is?
Booyah!
That's not even the
Booyah!
point you just made.
Booyah!
But yeah. So the only thing with that though is I think if you're going to go back to watch it after it happened, like if you've already watched the series and then you go back to watch scenes, you've already
Yeah.
got the context, right? But I feel like a lot of like those epic fight scenes lose a lot of its like like
It
what
can
makes them
look
special
cool,
to begin with.
but when
It's
you
just-
go back and you watch it in context, you appreciate a whole lot better. The same way you hear a single
Exactly.
and you're like, all right, this single's cool. You go back and you listen to the album where the single fits into the context of it, and you're like, oh, I appreciate this song a lot better when I hear it after the song it's supposed to be heard after.
I think what Rob's trying to say is like,
Yeah.
like that fight with Naruto and Sasuke, the infamous fight that we all
Wait,
know.
which one?
How many people got into Naruto specifically because they saw that fight, were blown away by it, and they were like, holy shit, I need to watch this show.
Or how many?
And
Same
then when they
thing.
got to that fight, they enjoyed it even more because now they understand the relationship between the characters and why they
Same
were
with Sasuke and Naruto versus what's the dude's name? Otsutsuki or whatever. What Boruto was there? Like Ishiki, right?
Oh, yeah.
Every like
Ishiki,
the fucking
Ishiki,
clip goes
Ishiki.
viral on Twitter all the time. And what do you see in the comments? Source. Yo, what's this?
Ain't a motherfucker watching Boruto.
And I
Ain't a
guarantee you,
motherfucker watching
I
Boruto
guarantee
after
you-
that. I love Boruto.
I guarantee you,
but
somebody
they're not
that
going
sees a
into
Naruto fight
They're not.
and
I
has
know.
never seen Naruto before will say, "Oh man, I got to go back and start this show. Start this show, not start from here. Go start this show."
And they
What?
don't. And they don't.
What?
They don't go to the beginning of
They
Boruto.
don't-
They
yeah,
don't go to Boruto.
exactly.
They don't start Boruto.
Exactly.
Most
no
people,
one
they
starts
see, they see
Naruto
that
from
fight and they say,
Boruto.
fuck watching Boruto.
No, but they start Naruto
What?
from Naruto, and then they end Naruto at the end of Naruto and stop.
And by no means am I trying to shit on Boruto. I gotta be clear because I've
'Cause you're a
starting to gain this
Boruto
habit
hater.
of being a Boruto hater, despite the fact that
You went from the
no,
biggest
fuck you.
fan.
No,
Fernan went from the biggest
Yeah.
fan, like just absolutely taking all the brunts,
Yeah.
like, protecting Boruto.
Yeah, you're not even for Boruto. You're not for Boruto.
you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, baby. Let's go.
I swear there was like a moment you were hyping.
Oh,
Boruto.
shit.
But with that too.
No, I love Boruto.
I gotta ask, bringing it back to music, do you skip the skits in albums?
First listen, no. First listen, I do not. But depending on
Yeah.
if the skits are good enough, because I won't skip it. I won't skip. Let me finish.
No.
Let me
Hold on.
finish.
You don't
I won't
skip
skip
okay.
a skit
No,
on a
real quick.
DMX album, right? But I'll skip a Tory Lane skit. Easy.
Boom.
That's not the. No, I didn't.
He just did it to himself, dog. We
Are you
got
like
him.
conjuring up argument points? Because I definitely said on first listen, when you go through an album, you go through it in order that it's given to you. Most people, the average listener, versus the people that are going to go to the songs that sound interesting first, that have an artist that they really like on it first, just like Certified Lover Boy. How many people are going to go to that album first and see, oh, Future and Young Thug is on this song? Play. Oh, 21 Savage and Project Pat are on this song? Play. Versus people that don't know who any of those people are. They're just going to hit play off the top of the intro. Dream Chasers 3. Dream Chasers 3.
Dog,
You hear
as
that
much-
intro drop, you're not hitting skip. That song is going to,
To be completely honest with you, yeah, like for me, 99% of albums, I just pick and choose. Like I won't listen from beginning to end. I have to like really respect the artist to be like, okay, I'm going to start from
exactly.
number one.
So you
all the way
do
through
both.
and listen to the skits. Yeah.
So where's the
I
celebration?
do
So
both,
where's the
yes,
celebration
yeah, but
coming?
only for very- Would you listen to Joe?
Yo, okay, first off, if I heard Joe Biden dirty talking to Kamala Harris, I'm probably going to listen to it. It's going to take me back to the Napster days.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna hear that
My
shit.
fellow
Yeah,
Americans,
I'm gonna hear
black
that shit.
woman,
I ain't gonna lie.
I did have sexual relations with my BP, and I did go to
I did
www.boldcolor.com. You remember those ads that used to be on like the songs you downloaded? Man, look, I'm off that. I'm off that
What do you
now.
mean?
I'm off that now.
I'm not
Like,
listening
so
to
some
moaning.
of you have seen the new MC.
We're going in
trailer,
circles here.
I imagine.
Oh,
Then you
hell
didn't
yes.
you didn't see the new. Okay, so
Man,
first
I've been
and
wanting to talk
foremost,
about this.
I'm not up to date with them.
We've gotten the announcements. We've gotten the announcements for the next two Avenger movies to close out Phase 6. Even though I didn't know we were in Phase 5. We also got the trailer for
Yeah.
the new Black Panther movie. We saw a mural dedicated to Chadwick Boseman.
I almost forgot his name again.
I almost fucked up and said his name wrong because of you.
I have it pulled up here on my monitor just in case I had to say it.
I want to ask a
rest
question
in peace to Chadwick Boseman.
about Black Panther.
Not to be confused with Alec Baldwin.
Chadwick Boseman.
for those confused, Chris accidentally said Chadwick Baldwin. Me and for them were like, oh, who?
I'm like, how do you
were like,
know who that is?
And you were dead serious.
Black
And you're like,
Panther.
what do you, Chadwick Baldwin? Like, he's the Black Panther. Oh, you mean.
Okay,
Boston.
outside of Black Panther being a great movie and all that it represents to a certain degree, do you feel that there's any negativity that comes
Absolutely.
from Black Panther? And I'll tell you why I bring this question up after you guys answer.
Oh, I've got negatives about
Elaborate.
the movie. Is that like
No, not about the content
Oh.
of the movie, of what it's representing
What do you
and
mean,
what
like,
it
what it-
does. Anything at all that
Our interpretation of what it's representing?
negatively?
No. Okay, so what I mean is this, and it's not the movie even, because it's based off a comic. When did
couldn't
anybody
give you a date off
have
the
a
top of my
ballpark
head.
of when the comic came out?
Like the original Black Panther comic? Oh man,
Yeah.
he's like from. I'm taking a wild guess, but he's like.
I'm
from
not a
the
Western
70s,
comics
something
person,
like
so
that.
you could ask me that about anybody, and
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh.
I'm not a fan of the idea, and people want to hate me for it. My heart is in the right place when I say this. I'm not a fan of the idea that now when people bring up the Black Panthers, they think of a film opposed to the group of people that was fighting to change the world. That
So you're
is something
wondering
that I don't-
if the
I'm not
movie
particularly
is
fond of.
overshadowing the legacy of the Black Panthers?
It does. It's not even a wonder. It definitely. You ask anybody about Black
So-
Panthers, they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, I love that movie." Not, "Hey, these people that radicalized and
Do you
tried their
think
best
that
to fight
maybe
to make
Black Panther
real-world
could have been
change."
inspired by them?
And Black Panther's first appearance was in 1966.
When did the Black Panther start?
Okay.
Probably around that time.
Because
I
it
mean,
could be a
it's pretty
case
much what
of the
happens
superhero
constantly,
being inspired by the
the
radical
X-Men.
group, or vice versa.
Black Panther
If-
Party was found. Hold on. So
Maybe it's the other way around.
Very specifically, Black Panther first appearance, Fantastic Four number 52 in July of 1966.
In July 1966.
But the Black Panther Party was first founded in October of 1966.
So, for Nev, who's overshadowing whose legacy?
What
One
does that
came
change?
first.
One
Came
is
first.
One is a comic book, and one is a comic book.
No, it's
So
not. It's
you
not a. It's not.
appreciate a
It's
comic
it's
book
not
more
about
than
what you
real life
appreciate
people that
more.
tried to fight for
You
black
said,
rights.
do you think that Black Panther the comic is overshadowing the legacy of the Black Panther Party? However,
Shadowing,
how could
yeah. See,
but how
of the
could
Black
something
Panthers,
that came out
people that
first
actually made
overshadow
real
something
world
that came out
change.
after it?
They have
Whose
the
fault
same
is that?
name. That's all that really counts in terms of that. But one is a
If I could
Came up with a
if I
different
could
name.
if I come out
if that's how
if I
you
come
feel,
out if I
fair
come
enough.
out as Superman now, and then I do like all this like social injustice work to help progress in like what black people go through, and then the new Superman movie comes out, would you say, oh well, Superman is overshadowing everything that Rob Lucci did? No, Superman was here first.
One
And
one
guess
is
what?
a comic book.
One
and
is a
one
comic
are
book
real
that
world
represented
people.
something that people that look like me didn't get to see in comic books at all.
It's a comic book.
And
one is real world.
would
people
you not say
actually
that
try to
comics,
help so that you
whether
can
Western
do
or manga, in
things.
like touch on messages that deal with social injustices, social commentary, any of those sorts of things,
Absolutely.
which Black Panther did do. Maybe people weren't in the streets doing whatever that the Black Panther Party was doing, but it was still doing something for people of color who didn't see superheroes. They couldn't resonate
'Cause if anything,
with Spider-Man and Superman and Batman the way that they could resonate with Black Panther. That's just as important.
I'm sorry, I just think that a comic book has absolutely
Why are
no
you comparing
impact in
it? Why are you
comparison
comparing
to a
it,
group
though?
of people that fought and died
And one started before the other
because
one.
one is a comic book and one is real world people.
And one started
And
before
one is
the
a
other
comic
one.
book that is a comic book.
Okay.
One is a comic book and one is real
You see,
world
do
people.
you see
One
the
is
impact
people that
that
died.
the comic book turned movie did for Black people who, again, this started in the 60s. Here we are, literally 60 years later, and how many Black superheroes, Black prominent superheroes, can you name? Static Shock, Black Panther, Black Lightning, Falcon, Blade. All Marvel, mostly. Captain
America.
that's a
yeah.
bad look
Captain
for
America.
They love to take real world heroes and put them in their comic books. That's why Magneto is based off of Malcolm X, and Professor Xavier is based off of Martin Luther King. They take people that
Hey,
made
Eric,
real world change.
Eric
and
put
them
Obama
comic
in there
books
in
for
their
profit,
manga.
and
I
then
didn't hear
erase the
nobody
legacy.
complaining. Obama.
Really, it raises
Robin.
that-
Obama
I don't
was
think
in
it
there.
raises
No one
legacy.
complained about it.
the Black Panther
Come
Party
after the
did.
comic. Like, I can't
Like,
blame the
you know.
comic for coming first.
It's not about coming first. It's the fact that
So here's
they
my
wouldn't
question.
allow
Would they-
something like that to be
Would they
prominent.
then
in
like
the
not be
movies.
allowed
Yeah.
to like
Sorry,
do
go ahead.
anything with the franchise of the Black Panther comic because the Black Panther Party did so much for the Black community? Do they then have to dead it?
Yeah, absolutely. But why would they take those IPs in
'Cause
particular?
that's what
and then
people
you
ask
mentioned
for.
a lot of these characters that, first of all, for example, Static Shock, they didn't want to. How do you know people asked for that? People asked for that. In
Wasn't
fact,
Black Panther
all
one of the
Black
original
superheroes that
Avengers?
People are asking for more. People asked for more Static Shock. And you know what they told them? People asked for more Static Shock. And you know what they told them? Yeah, we can't really sell toys of a black superhero to kids. Sorry. People asked for more Static. They didn't get that. So why do they get more Black Panther?
and
That
then they
was- that
said,
was a
okay,
party
well,
that
give us
actually
Black
did
Panther
something
because for one, he's a
people.
black hero. Two, he is very relative to the core members of the Avengers. Three, as you can see, DC don't really know what to do with their IPs in terms of cinema.
Yeah, I don't think like whatever the race is.
Absolute
'cause they
garbage.
all are just bombing.
And,
It's like,
eh.
Man, they don't even know what to do with Superman. Superman, the most popular superhero of all time.
with Batman
And, like,
being
they're shit
just
bet
as
on
close, and we've gotten
Yeah.
4 Batman actors in a single lifetime.
Yeah, but I really don't think there's anything like. I mean, I don't.
Was
really
War
know much
Machine
about
even
the
black in the
Panthers.
comics? No.
Where was she? I don't remember now. Yeah, I think he's always been black.
If I'm wrong about it,
think
I'll
so.
take being wrong
I
about it. But
could
I
be
mean,
wrong.
either way, like, no one is saying that the comic is taking away from the Black Panther Party. And if anything, I don't think Disney would want their IP associated with that type of content in the first place. So I doubt that they were looking at that in that aspect. Not true
Yeah.
at all.
In 100 years,
That's not
nobody
true at
will
all.
even know about the
Because
Black
guess
Panthers.
what? We're
They won't
already
even know about a
60
comic
years
book.
removed from the
I don't
inception of the
believe
Black
that.
Party,
There's-
the Black Panther Party, and nobody that's not
And
black
nobody
talks about the
it.
Black
And if you
Panther
ask a
Party,
little
but that
10-year-old
is
right now, they're not
definitely
gonna know.
a core value in the Black community of African American studies. You can't even talk about the civil rights movement without talking
You
about
got it.
Black Panther Party.
I know like a little bit of the like Black Panthers, but I'm not like. Were they around before? Was that before
No, it was like-
Martin Luther King and
Around the same time.
is it around the same time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
same with
'cause
Malcolm X. Around the same
I
time.
want to say
okay.
I want to say Malcolm X supported the Black Panther Party, but I don't recall. I want to say he was. Matter of fact, they had a movie. They had a
Because they had like
Martin
opposite
Luther
views,
King.
right? Like Malcolm X and
yeah.
they had like very different.
Martin Luther
approaches how they
King
wanted
believed
to-
in like solving
go
through,
about it, right?
you know, peace and love thy neighbor and all that shit. And Malcolm X was like, nah, fuck him up, fuck him up. But there was a movie that
Okay.
just came out on Netflix, and the name escapes me. That was about the Black Panther Party and like how the FBI like set them up to like dismantle it, and along with those plans, they were also targeting Malcolm X, so it was in the same time frame.
Oh, okay. And so were the Panthers more like a Malcolm X, like that extreme side of things? Or
They were
more like
militarized. They walked around with
peaceful
like
protesting,
guns
or like
and shit. Like the way you
no-
see the
oh,
Proud Boys walking
okay.
around, that was the Black Panthers.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense then. I'm coming from this like I really don't know much about them. So because if we're comparing Black Panther the movie,
Militarized
superhero, and
black community that strictly sticks to protecting their own and
Yeah.
to not get involved with outsiders' affairs. Kind of sounds like the Black Panther Party.
okay, and so then you have Black Panther the superhero, who kind of had the same idea. Wakanda is this isolated area that didn't want to do anything with the rest of the world, and they're like, we got all this technology, all this stuff, fuck all the rest of you, right? It didn't take until the end of the first movie where they're like, they opened up and they're like, okay, we're gonna
and-
share.
And
with the
immediately
world
after
and make
that,
everyone
purple
think it's a
alien
better
came
place
and started
kind of
fucking with them.
Yeah. That's actually kind of cool though, because I didn't even know, like, so maybe I guess there is some connections to Black Panther.
And that's the thing about the comics is that like the comics, not just Black Panther, but Western comics, it's the same way that Eastern manga like would touch on the social commentary going on over there. That was the whole point of Western comics over here, is
Yeah.
that they touched on social commentary. Like that was the point of Captain America. I think the point of Captain America was to like drive enlistment for the military back in the army, right, or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
World War
the
One.
guy
I think,
comes
something
and
like
comes
that.
up with Black
Yeah.
Panther, and he's like, "Yo, I mean, like for one, ain't no black superheroes. There's not a lot of
Yeah,
black
that's true.
representation in superheroes. Let's give something for the coloreds to like."
I'm just thinking of like his name is just slipping my brain
Stan
now.
Lee?
This guy that ran Marvel, something Lee, Stan Lee. Yeah.
I remember everybody that looked like me like loving Static Shock when it was on Kids WB every Saturday morning.
Oh, dude, I loved it too.
The create.
Yeah, like
That's-
when I told you guys that whole like I had the illegal satellite thing. I had Kids WB. That wasn't like a Canadian channel, and that's the first time I saw Static Shock. I'm like, damn, this is a cool show.
Daniel,
Real quick, it was Stan Lee and Jack Kirby that came up
Gotcha.
with Black Panther.
yo, Stan Lee just like sitting in a room, just like drawing shit, and you're like, I'm gonna name this like his first superheroes. Imagine coming out with your first superhero, and you're like, you see a spider, and you're like, I could do something. I could do something with that.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, his early stuff, like, yeah, it was the same idea. It came across super silly, especially back then, right? So, like, when he's trying to come up with these superhero ideas, because when he was working for, I think it was like a newspaper, and just putting like little shorts of comics, because comics wasn't really a thing yet. And comics existed, but more so
The
like
comic
those,
strips,
like
right?
super little cartoony stuff that you'd see. Yeah. But he wanted to do something that's like a little bit more, right? Like he wanted to tell like a story through his stuff. And when they came up, yeah, I'm gonna come up with this spider, blah blah blah, and whatever, and he's gonna kind of look like this, and like all the publishers are like, this is the dumbest thing. Like we are not doing this. And then it came to like he was just so miserable because he's just doing like those comic strip things that his wife told him, was like, who cares? Just do what you want to do, make it. And then if you get fired, you get fired. Who cares, basically? So he
Shit
did,
takes
and
off.
then boom, it like took off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she told him do whatever you wanted, that's when he created the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that's right. I think he did that before Spider-Man, right? Or was it? I don't remember what came first.
I don't remember which one came first, but I do know what you're talking about. And what he was talking about, what he really wanted to do was Fantastic Four, and it turned into at the time was like a big success.
For Nev and Daniel, like
Yeah.
you guys being people of color, but like not black, did you guys have heroes that like you were able to resonate and relate with, like when you guys were growing up? Because I know like it was like predominantly white heroes, right?
I can't think of any Hispanic
Interesting.
heroes growing up, honestly.
So was Miles like kind of the first
That I
one
could
for you
recall.
guys? Miles Morales? Like granted he's not fully Hispanic, but being like half, was it Dominican?
He's half Hispanic. I guess so. As far as superheroes are concerned, I guess so. Yeah.
And just to clarify, Puerto Rican
never,
is
like-
black.
Because it always feels like it depends on who you ask. That'd be like, no, it's not. Like Dominicans will be like, we're not black.
Well, yeah, that can be their mindset, but it's just
Okay,
facts. Facts are facts.
There are some games coming out soon. Digimon Survive comes out in like 7 days, I think. And then I've been seeing a lot of leaks about the new Pokemon game. They're taking out like standard like breeding. Like you just take them to like how, like you take
What
your
do you mean?
Pokemon to the daycare and then you go do shit. You come back, there's an egg. They're like they're doing it different.
They're getting rid of that whole thing.
It seems
Because before, like the trick was you had to get a Ditto. Your Ditto is basically like a pure like slut that had to stay at the breeding center, and then you just bring Pokemon to like breed with that Ditto.
the true will of D.
That Ditto
True
D.
will of D. Yo, Ditto always creeped me out because he was just like a giant pink amoeba.
Dude, and it's
That's where I
awesome. Like,
that's
it
where I
just
imagine
looks
like One Punch Man got his design from. He was like just Ditto that could just punch the shit out of you. Oh, that's so sick. So yeah, so you would throw the Ditto in
Yeah.
there, and especially with like the legendaries, you would throw the Ditto in there, and I guess they just like mount a glob of Pokemon DNA, and then you come back and there's this egg.
Yeah, that's true. Oh man, I've seen some like kind of not safe for work comic strips of people like making like way too detailed of like what it's like inside the Pokemon Center or the breeding center. It's like
What do you think would be like
yeah.
thicker to see? Like you walk into like a Pokemon daycare where they're like running a breeding camp, or like seeing like what the contents of inside a Pokeball is really like.
man, I really want to know what it's like in a Pokeball because I think it's either the most miserable experience, like torture, right? And it's just like you're just like floating in this like negative space that just doesn't make any sense, or it's like the coolest thing ever and you don't even want to leave. I don't know.
You
Context
guys ever
doesn't
notice
make
they
any
don't eat
sense.
meat
Like
in
this-
Pokemon?
I don't know.
Never really thought about
that's true.
what
So Pokemon, like at least in the anime, I've seen them just like feed them like Pokemon food made from, well, even in the games, right? You feed them berries and shit. But
Yeah.
what do the humans eat?
Do the-
I might be a little
humans
bit
eat
wrong on this, but I'm
Pokemon?
pretty sure they do. Yes. Yeah. So, because you'll see, I'm trying to remember. I know there's some context for this because, like, even like things like Magikarp, like, oh, do you want some magic, like things like that. But they don't in like the anime. They don't really touch on that because they don't want to exactly do that for kids. But it's there. Like if you start reading the lore, it's there. Like yeah, Pokemon. You eat the Pokemon.
Okay, what do you think tastes better, a Pokemon or a Digimon?
Oh, I think Pokemon for sure.
I think
like, I
Pokemon
think,
are
like, a
more
good, like-
animal-like by comparison.
Yeah, exactly. So like a good Taurus, good. Oh man,
There's
get
some
like that good
Digimon
prime
that
rib off
just,
a Taurus.
like I remember there was one Digimon that was literally just a half-naked chick in bondage.
Was that fuck? Is that Lady
Yeah.
Devimon? No, it's not Lady Devimon.
I don't remember her fucking name, dude. But I
Really?
just remember she was like blindfolded. and
Are you
she was,
talking
like,
about
covered in,
Anjouamon?
like, bondage or
She had
whatever?
like a helmet and like the wings,
Maybe
and like she has like a bow and arrow.
Oh, Digimon.
I think.
All right, first off, Anjouamon was pretty fucking hot.
Yeah, wood Digimon.
Okay.
Whoa. Digimon. Yeah.
and the fact that a humanoid angel Digimon like is what evolves from a cat always confused me.
Oh, I know. Like yeah, both
And
of them, right? Angemon and Woe Angemon.
There's a joke there, but I'm not gonna
that
make.
pussy is angelic. Can we leave that?
No.
Do we have to cut that?
I don't think so.
Fuck you. That's not.
What did you have in mind?
No, just that you go from pussy to pussy.
What was the one from before Angemon?
Patamon. I don't know what the fuck Patamon was supposed to be.
Patamon, I think it's right. It's Patamon. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
so, like-
like a random.
All right, so this
doesn't
always
make any
confused me
sense.
about
like
Digimon.
your wings.
The first time Patamon digivolves into Angemon and uses the Hands of Faith to like take out like whoever like the big bad was. I think it was like Devimon or Demi Devimon or some shit. It was like the pre Digivolution to Myotismon. And using that attack was enough to drain his energy to the point he died and had to be reborn, right? How was that any different from any other time he became Angemon after that?
I have no idea. Like, all I know about Angemon was that he was like way stronger. Like, because what stage was that? I forget like the evolutions, but because the first evolution after whatever that first stage, rookie, no, anyway, whatever that first stage is, like he was by far the most powerful because he was like
I think that's
a
is
level
I think is
above
rookie into
Ultra.
champion.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I want to say.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. So champion
Yeah.
forms. He was the strongest champion form because
It was like the
champion form
equivalent
was, like,
of a
one above
mega.
that. So he was like,
Was it Ultimate then Mega or
I
Mega
think
and
one
Ultimate?
before Ultimate. Yeah.
Gotcha. So he was
Then Mega.
Yeah.
Ultimate then Mega.
Not to mention like
Yeah. He was like ultimate form.
human emotion influence Digivolution is supposed to be stronger than like natural over time Digivolution.
I think so. Yeah.
I'd take a Digimon over
Yeah,
Pokemon.
I don't even know. Like, it's like I think in like retrospect, yeah, Digimon are generally stronger than Pokemon for sure. Like a lot of Digimon are like world ender or
Well, granted, we do have those.
breaker level kind of.
We do have those
Even
Pokemon.
the lower
against our
level
Mega forms.
Digimon are like fucking
Yeah,
dinosaurs
yo,
and shit.
like, do you guys remember like the first Digimon movie where like, dude sets off a
Dude, I
nuclear
loved
bomb
The first Digimon.
just to get to one Digidestin? It was
I never saw that one.
so in Japan, it was actually 3 separate movies with like completely different storylines. But like in the US version, they just like kind of spliced the first 3 movies together to like make one long movie. So that's why if you ever notice like certain scenes that don't kind of make sense in context to like the US version of the movie, because in the movie there's like the first movie, like the entirety of the first movie was like from them being like kids that don't interfere, Diaboromon, and they had to fight in the internet or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think like the second movie was the nuclear the nuclear attack, and then the third movie was like them like having to go back with O2 Digimon and like go fight Kokomon or whatever the fuck.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because the version that we
Yeah.
saw,
They were-
were in that
Like
game,
midpoint of the
wasn't
movie is when they showed
they?
up.
They came. Yeah. Okay.
Silly as shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all over the place with these
Okay.
topics.
Man, and I so back
Well,
to
actually,
Black
to
Panther.
circle back earlier to streaming, I think these companies are like actually like shadow banning these albums to like kind of force lower stream numbers so that they don't have to pay out as much. And speaking of streaming, yo,
That
Fernet,
could be
what
it.
the fuck was that about with like somebody like randomly like bringing up your music?
On Twitter, yeah, some dumbass was saying something about my music, and yeah, not even a dumbass, whatever. It doesn't even matter.
Does it ever make you like
Hey,
want to get back in the
rest-
booth, shit like that, or do you, or are you just kind of like, you know, I'm kind of retired from music, fuck it.
Not really. Music is music, I guess.
Like everything I do is like a melody or lyrics or whatever the fuck, just infinitely stuck in my head at all times of the day. Like Chris, for you, is it like ever you're just doing something, you just randomly break out into a dance?
I would say I probably look like I had like something wrong with me. I would just be like in the middle of like just shopping or just walking or something, and then I would just like, because I wouldn't be like doing the moves full out. I would just be kind of doing them. So I just look like I'm
So
just, like, twitching around.
It'd be like the dance movies, like
And then
where,
I
like, they
forgot,
do,
like,
the little training
certain-
montage while they're like practicing the routines for like the big battle, and you just like break a little jig.
Yo, yeah, 100%. And then me and my friends and stuff too. Like anytime we'd go into a store or something, and, like break out like a good song, and then always somebody gets the courage to just start like breaking something out and put on like a little show.
Well, shit. What, we're at an hour 24. Does anybody have like anything else they wanna touch on before we get out of here?
Yes, Daredevil has been confirmed. He's in there. He's coming. He's got the suit.
Is this going to be a new season? Like, is this season 4?
This will be considered
Netflix
season
show?
4. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
'cause I thought season 1 was really good. Season 2 I was kind of iffy on, but season 3 kicked fucking.
Have they
ass. Season 3
confirmed
really
if
fucking good.
Daredevil and the
I'm looking
Punisher
forward
will
to
make
it.
its way to Disney Plus?
So all of the old Netflix shows are on Disney Plus now. So far they've only confirmed Daredevil's officially in the MCU.
They did that with Agents of Shield,
Same
right?
actor, everything. They haven't said
Fucking
anything.
killed it.
Agents of Shield is technically not canon. Yeah, so it's like kind of weird because you can consider it canon, but it doesn't even really matter. Like, it started off trying to be canon, and then like they just sort of went on to their own thing. So I watched all of it, but then they started jumping around to like different timelines and universes. So whatever they were doing wouldn't affect kind of what's happening in the MCU. But it was because they had a disagreement because at the time, Marvel Entertainment and Marvel Studios were kind of two separate branches under Disney. And then Marvel Entertainment was working on like the more TV side of things. And like most of their shows just bombed. And Kevin Feige then kind of took over. And now they put everything under one branch. So now it's just all Marvel Studios. And now, so all the TVs, that's when they opened up the Disney Plus and started making their TV shows and all that kind of stuff. So the stuff before that was like in this like gray zone. It's like kind of canon, but not. And so for the longest time, most of the Netflix stuff was originally advertised as, oh, it's canon to the Marvel movies. Charlie Cox was even supposed to show up in the day, but it never happened.
I know one of those seasons of Agents of Shield, they kind of reference what was going on in, was it Age of Ultron?
It was they did like a lot of times in the TV show Agents of Shield, they would reference what happened in the movies, but the movies would never.
Which the movies like rarely did
show.
with any of the TV shows.
Yeah,
right.
Except, sorry, I'm actually wrong about one thing. So this the only time where they did reference the TV show in the movie was in the end of Endgame when Jarvis shows up.
Right.
The old school, yeah. He, I'm trying to remember now, but he meets Robert Downey Jr.'s character. Something I can't remember now. It's slipping me. But one of those characters from the show showed up in the movie Infinity War. It's like just
I thought they said it was like.
role, but
I thought they said it was like the
technically,
actor of Jarvis, like his voice or some shit. Was it?
Yeah. So Jarvis started as just the voice, like in the Iron Man stuff, and then he became Vision.
Interesting. I never got into Jessica Jones.
Oh, yeah.
And Luke Cage. It's pretty good. Season 1 was really good. Season 2 was honestly kind of a train wreck. And then Season 3 was really good again. Then they like got back on track.
Similar to Daredevil.
Luke Cage, yeah. I think the overall though, like, because Season 2 was definitely the weakest season, but it was still not a bad season. Yeah, and then Iron Fist was just awful. It was just terrible from beginning to end. It was so bad. And then Luke Cage was pretty good too.
I don't know. I don't watch any of the Netflix Marvel shows.
Something. Can't remember.
I saw like
Eddie
tidbits from like the Punisher, like when he'd be beating ass, and I was like, "Oh, this seems pretty raw." But at the time, I think I was watching like silly shit.
I think once Daredevil's like more established, he's there now in the MCU. I think next up will be Punisher, 100%. He's just too big of an IP.
Well, I mean, they already kind of brought X-Men into the fold.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, X-Men was absolutely confirmed because Miss Marvel just finished.
Spoiler alert.
That was a series that just dropped. Yeah. So now it's official. I mean, we already knew it was happening, but it's now in the movie. Mutants exist.
Gotcha.
The only thing I want to bring up is, y'all know I've been moving, obviously.
Yo, like
And
your guy is
still-
about to pop up in the comments. Like,
Yeah,
so
it's-
you talk about me now, huh?
No, it had nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with. All I want to say was, shit's not done yet. Like, I still got stuff in bins and shit. You know, so like the way that things look now, it's all in flux. I'm gonna get a new desk. I have a story about that fucking desk. I'm not gonna tell it now because we're about to wrap up. I've got some shit to say about that. Fucking hell. But like, I'm gonna get that built, and I'm gonna get like a new bookshelf, and gonna have some. I'm gonna decorate the room more. It's gonna look nicer. Right now, things are looking kind of
Hell yeah.
plain. But Shit's rolling.
So I think this was a
Brick
pretty
by
good
brick,
episode
man.
for
Jesus,
a
brick by brick, you know.
no docket to go off of, just kind of winging it. So thank you all for joining us this week. This has been the pod with the long name. I am your host, Rob Lucci, with For Never World, Daniel Santo. Do I say the whole name, or do you just prefer Daniel?
You like
And Chris
it?
Quaaludes.
Either way.
Thank you all for coming out. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you next week.